Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO podcast. I am your host, Hannah Chapman, and today we are going to be talking about a topic that is always at the forefront of my mind, which is uniqueness and honoring the people around you and their uniqueness as well in different ways. But we're going to talk about it from a couple of different perspectives. So, my guest today is Brett Kaufman. We met in one of my favorite masterminds, the Dream Team Mastermind, where there's just so many amazing, heart centered, super intelligent, super successful people in that group. And I love it. So we met there and we get to have this awesome conversation. So Brett is the co founder of Pretty Okay Media. And he's also the director of growth at Four Rooms Mastermind. And he is an absolute wizard at helping you make every single message that you send from your email list for those people receiving from you to feel like it was made specifically for them, which if you do any email marketing, you know how important that is. So we're going to talk about one, how important it is to make things really unique to your customer in lots of different ways. And then from Brett's own experience, how to incorporate mandatory happy moments into every day. So, Brett, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And I would love for you to introduce yourself a little bit more. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. And huge shout out to Sebastian Cruz from Dream Team. I mean, that community is such a unique one. So if anyone's listening, basically Sebastian is one of the best people I've ever met at like creating a referral engine, which feels so organic. And when he was explaining to me the way he gets people to refer business without even asking for a commission because they just believe in the mission that you are doing, it's like so unique. So Sebastian, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you, my man. I'm excited that you're coming to our event in Austin. It'd be great to spend more time with you. For me, so I need to give also credit to my business partner, Yoga, for the Pretty Okay Media. It's a LLC that we kicked up because we were tired of agencies proclaiming that they're the absolute best. So we thought this was kind of funny. They're like, well, how good are you guys? We're like, we're pretty okay. And therefore we temper expectations. So it's like all we gotta do is meet the bar pretty okay. And anything that we do above that's pretty okay, you're very thrilled with us. So we always think it's a fun way of starting a conversation with someone and catches people's attention. My journey in the entrepreneur world came not in a way that I was expecting, in the sense I didn't grow up as a kid that had a lemonade stand and wanted to start a business. I actually was in bipartisan pro-Israel lobbying for half a decade, and I loved it as a fundraiser where my job was to cold call, cold email, cold text, and set up my own meetings with someone where I'd raise between $1,800 to $100,000 first time meeting them. And the reason why I was the best in my program at doing that, where I raised 3 million in 3 years, was because I was able to tailor messages that spoke directly to what they wanted to hear. And then one day when someone was like, "That's copywriting," that was the first time I ever got introduced to copywriting.
Hmm.
And we fast forward, we specifically are now really good on the email. We also do everything from like ads and landing page copy, but people come to us specifically on the email side because there's so many great automations you can add into it. And so instead of just trying to craft the message itself to feel like it's specifically written for Hannah at the stage that she's at and what she needs help with, you can have all these automations and tags and triggers that tell me that information going into it. And so therefore that's how it's a combination of writing the right words that make you feel seen and also making sure the right triggers send an email out specifically around an action you take. Is that's the combination that gets a person to be like, wow, this email is truly written directly for me. And you can do it at scale. And that's been such a fun world that we cracked.
Yeah, that's email has been such an interesting beast over the last, I would say, decade. Um, for me personally, like when I receive emails, it's not that I never look at anything,
Yeah.
but it really does, like there has to be a reason for me to look at something. So like I probably don't look at 90% of the emails that I receive at this point, right? And there's stuff that's like I just don't like I try to unsubscribe and I can't. You know, like we all have that experience, but then there are emails that catch my attention that I do buy from, right? That do tell me something that I actually want to know or are from people that I actually want to read what they have to say. And so it's been a really interesting thing to navigate. And I'm telling this story just because I'm like this, like for me, my personal experience of, receiving emails and then, also having an email list that just was never like the thing that really worked for me, for my businesses, while hearing, and I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast who's a business owner has heard, it's like you have to have an email list. Social media platforms can take you down anytime they want for whatever reason, right? People lose their Instagram profiles or their Facebook profiles or they suspended on LinkedIn for whatever reason, and that can go down.
Yeah.
But an email list is something that you own, is the way that it's talked about a lot. And so, I mean, I literally was talking to someone else today who was like, how do you get people on an email list? What do you even do? I'm like, well, it takes work. You have to do, you
Yeah.
have to work towards that, first of all. But tell us a little bit more, like how do you see that working for people now when there is such a, like, again, a huge amount of spam that people receive literally every minute of the day.
Yeah. I'm gonna answer that in a second, but because I feel like a lot of the listeners are just like you, what kind of emails do you open?
Um, which ones do I open?
In the sense, what I mean is like, what do you look for when deciding if you're going to open the email?
Who it's from
Okay.
is
So for
definitely important, right? So yeah, someone that I actually want to hear from. Um, I would say that's probably 80% of the deciding factor.
okay, that's huge.
Um, and then can't decide if it's like a topic that I care about. It might be. It might be that it's like so who it is and then what's the subject line. Like
Okay.
those are the things I think that will draw me to open something versus, other times that same exact person sends something and I'm like, I don't have time for that right now.
So that's good. So if 80% of your decision is made up from the from name, meaning who's it from, walk me through what built that relationship with that person for you to be like, I will open majority of the emails that you sent me. Is it because you probably joined a lead magnet somewhere? Like try remembering back to how you first met that person.
So the ones that I will consistently open, either I literally know them in person and their emails are good. Like they're like written and I enjoy reading them.
Okay.
So that's a piece of it. Like I know, like I have liked this person. I like this person in real life and I, always enjoy reading what they have to say. So
Like, for
that's
example, you enjoy like their thoughts, or is it like they enjoy the actionable tips that they're giving you?
both.
Okay. That's a
Hmm.
good distinction.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Both of those things. And then um the other would be like I have bought something from them in the past
Hmm.
and or I'm part of their community. Um and sometimes, not necessarily that there's an offer. I would say every once in a while, like there might be an offer, but I also am trusting that I've had an experience with that person before where it wasn't like that's not everything that it was about, is that it's just an offer all the time.
Cool. So this is super helpful. So it sounds like that you met the person, like you said, or maybe you've been following them online. So some piece of content got in front of you that you resonate with them prior to email, and then maybe you opted in or maybe you bought something. And that makes sense. That's what a majority of people. So going back to when you were saying that person asked you, how do you build your list? An easy way of doing that is what's something super juicy as a lead magnet that you can give away that the person is gonna be like, absolutely that I want this. Because now you're bringing people on the list. But the game is once you're on my list, then the LTV, lifetime value of that person, that's where you have to make sure that you're actually enjoying what I'm seeing. Because a lot of people, so we work with a lot of brands that do like 300K a month, spend at least 5 figures a month on ads. So their front end, crushing it. Amazing, right? They can scale that ad, they can make money, they can ignore their email list forever because they know they have a money-making printer machine on the front end. But like you even said in the bit of the intro, that ad account goes down, they're screwed. So we come in and say, okay, great, you are crushing on the front end, but there's at least $100,000 a month in your email list that you're not nurturing. How do you get those people to actually want to hear from you? This is where the fun customization part comes in. So depending on what email service provider someone has, a lot of them have the sophistication. You can set up little triggers and action points that send you custom emails based upon an action you take. And this is our favorite way of making sure each email feels personalized because we believe the death of broadcast emails, which means sending an email to everyone. You can do that still. That's great in the sense of like if you want to give a general like weekly update, like, this is where we went on vacation with the kids, or this is what I'm super excited about, or just here's my thoughts for the week. I love that. Do you, if that makes you happy. But if you're really going to get the sales, it's in all the automations that are super segmented based upon what you know your person wants. So one of the things that we do that works super well is we craft super curated surveys, but these aren't like, hey, fill out a form. These is sending an email and being like, hey, we help people in these different categories. Now, you, Hannah, might be dealing with this problem, but me, Brett, might be dealing with this problem, and we both join this person's list for a similar reason. But now I'm going to have you click on which one of these options best relates to you. I'll
Mm,
give you an example of one of my clients in the fitness space. He helps fitness professionals scale their business, and he deals with four different demographics. You have the babies, the people that like are just trying to build their online business. I need my first few clients, and we're like, cool. Click option A. You're the person's like, okay, I'm doing about 5K a month. I'm trying to get to 10K a month. I love that for you. You probably need help with this. Click B. Now you're the person that's bucket C. You're making consistent 10, but now you have to learn how to build systems and teams and start running ads. So you're trying to get like to 20, 30K a month. Cool, go here. And then person D, you're at 30. Now you're trying to really get to 200K a month. That's a whole different beast. All those people join the list for a similar reason. I'm trying to scale my fitness business, but all four have different problems. And when you get someone to opt in to the specific problem they have, now you know the custom emails. You can send them the custom case studies, the custom trainings, the custom stories. I remember when I was like you, sending so many DMs, trying to get my first client. Or I remember when I was like you, I had a golden handcuff in my business. We are doing 100K a month, but I actually took less time off for vacation than I do now until I hired, a part-time CMO or until I hired this. I have all this content already created. I'm now just siloing it in different buckets to be like, wow, like I know the exact problem this person is facing. And that's how you build that lifetime trust with the person, because that's when they feel like, wow, you truly do get me.
mm. What I'm hearing in that as well is there's a desire and maybe even people are coached to niche down, right? So if you were to segment in that many ways, for a lot of people, they'd be like, why are you focusing on all those different segments? Right? Just get rid of three of them and focus on the one that's, trying to scale to $200,000 a month. So you can just get rid of everything else. And it's not that there's no sense in that. I think there is, some amount of sense in that. Like put your energy where you want it to go the most. But what I'm hearing and what's kind of coming out of what you're saying here for me is that if you can nurture someone through those levels that you've been through, right? That turns into, you mentioned the term LTV, which is lifetime value,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Lifetime value of a client rather than the one transaction. They're in your mastermind one time, or they're, a one-time coaching client or whatever. If you can continue that relationship with that client and help them grow over time, that is, it's so much easier to keep a client than it is to get a new client.
Totally. And also, I love you brought that up because I was having this exact conversation with someone that was like preaching against niching. And I'm like, cool, let's take your example. You only want to serve 200K a month client. Well, guess what? You need to figure out, are your ads firing? Is your sales director super good? Is your COO super good? Is your CMO super good? So I can create my buckets just from that because I have different stories in each of the areas. So that's why this works well when you do identify whoever you want to serve. There's always little baby micro like components of it. And then the more you do that, and especially like you said, you're building momentum, those wins, you click that your first problem is you're trying to scale 200K a month, but it's your ads. Great. So you click that. My first few trainings and case studies and stories are about that. We solved this problem. But now, wait, your closers are having issues. We solved that problem with your sales manager. Oh no, your COO, you can't fulfill. So you still build that up. So we're building that lifetime value in whatever way you want to split and niche down even harder on your list.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm hearing from that is giving people the thing that they can digest and need right now
Yeah.
versus right, like again, the earlier example of, if you're trying to build to $20,000 months, a lot of times people are in that range, but hearing a lot of um, tips or tricks or tools that people are trying to use to get to the $200,000 per month, right? And there is actually a disconnect between those things.
Yeah.
Like what the tools and the resources you need to get from 5 to 10 to 20 are different than the tools that you need to get from 50 to 100 to $200,000 per month. But if we're hearing is, I want to be at $100,000 a month, so I'm just going to focus on that, but you're still trying to get from 10 to 20 in reality, it's like you're trying to like clomp around in shoes that are like four sizes too big for you,
Yeah.
right? You're not going to run a marathon very efficiently
Yeah.
in those big giant shoes.
And when I present this to clients, it's a lot of work, which is why, we have people, they can either pay us to train their team on how to do it. Most people say no to that and they're like, just do it for me because it's a lot of work. You really have to think through your content. And I actually tell them, honestly, I might need you to film new content. But at the end of the day, like the point you just hit on, if I can spend one time to acquire you, it doesn't matter what that CAC is. It could be up to $10,000 if my product, is like 15,000, whatever it is. But I don't have to pay to sell to you again and build out a relationship with you because I can nurture you and sell you all these different offerings I know you're going to need down the road. Why wouldn't I take that any day of the week? So this style of offering is for that person that already has a foundation in their email list. If you're a beginner, just get as many people on your list as possible, build a relationship in whatever way. But when you start having at least 5,000 people and you're really to scale it up, this style customization is what's so critical to get to your next level.
Yeah, and that's uh, the other aspect of that is when you have revenue to spend
Yeah.
on this, right? So building the email list is super important and then segmenting. It doesn't mean, here's what I'm thinking at this moment as well, is that you can be mindful as you're building, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to just like take anyone at any point, right? There's intentionality. You can build intentionally, but I have also experienced in my, I'm in my fifth year of entrepreneurship myself with X Squared. I started out focusing on female lawyers that own their own law firms. And from like, I really went hard with that demographic in mind for a long time. And then it kind of opened up and shifted and changed, right? And so I work with a lot more than just female attorneys. That's not my niche anymore. But as you're building, there is the, you know, very high likelihood that you will shift and change and your target, will, whether it's a big shift or a small shift, you're not necessarily going to be the same in 3 or 4 or 5 years as you are right at the beginning, or same at 5 years as you are at 10 years, right? There's likely going to be growth and shifting in your target. And so building while you go, being intentional with it is great, but we also like having that list is the important part before you start really tailoring things, I think.
Yes. You nailed it.
Well, thank you. And now I just need to apply it a little more, I think. Um, Again, like I have a small email list. I didn't ever get to the place where it felt like it was actually working, or I wasn't doing it in a way that felt super aligned for me.
Ooh, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I was writing, so especially when I started the newsletter, the email list, had the lead magnet, all of that. I started um I was writing a ton. And so this is like 2021, 2022. I was just writing and writing. I wrote for Forbes, I wrote long captions on LinkedIn, I wrote articles, I did a lot of things, a lot of blog posts. So I would take some of that content and put it in a newsletter as well, right? So reusing it made sense. But right around, mid 2022, I stopped wanting to write. I got sick of it. I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to just talk. I want to just talk it out. Video feels a lot more aligned. It feels easier. Um, and so that was really the direction that I went. And I challenged myself to post every single day on video. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn were where I was on those three at that time. And I posted every single day for more than a year, I believe, doing just a short video, something that was valuable. Um, and that felt much more aligned, but I wasn't putting that into a newsletter, right? I was just focusing on creating content and posting it, and then writing a little bit. So I would do a video and then write a caption for it as well. And that worked for me a lot more easily. And I think the newsletter piece, I didn't ever incorporate the way, like talking on video, even just now saying that out loud, I'm like, God, that would be so easy to just have some sort of like weekly message of some sort that's like, hey, here's this little nugget that I've been thinking about, a little bit of content to go with it. Um, but it didn't feel easy. It didn't feel light at that time to do it.
Um, I love this because I was having this conversation with someone. Email shifted drastically where that you don't necessarily, it's the ironic part, you don't need to write to have an email list. And I'm not even talking about outsourcing, I'm not talking about AI. I'm literally talking about how, so we had this client who we're building out this, what we call turn your dead leads into dollars, where we take your email leads you haven't mailed in at least 60 days and we turn them into new clients for you. And these are people, you're not contacting. Let's just, give you money. And so what we found was we were building it out in high level in this example, and he's really good on camera like you are, and he has a lot of great like YouTube content. And what we found was we split tested writing the emails and with the grading same information, and we split tested putting a link in like embedding a link because there's like the drag and drops on high level where you can do that and then you can like upload a URL and the thumbnail pops up in the email and that converted more. So literally just took all the hard work that he did on YouTube and just put it in the email. Because again, at the end of the day, the person doesn't care how they're getting the information. They just want to get the really good information. And then you win in a few different ways. You win because the email service providers, they want engagement. Now, this is
Right.
what's a really fun little hack, because now we're going to dive into my favorite part of email, which is deliverability. And this is where it doesn't matter how good your email is, if it's landing in spam, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So on the deliverability side, there's a lot of things you can do. But one of the big things you can do is the more Gmail sees people engaging with you, the better it is. And engagement means replying to your emails and also clicking the links in your email. Now, if you want to nerd out a little bit more and you want to get even better engagement, which means higher open rates, which obviously means higher sales, is that when you start using Gmail's products, because Gmail is the biggest email service provider, or sorry, technically internet service provider out there, right? Most people have a Gmail account when they opt in. That if you use their products like Google Slides, Google Drive, YouTube, that the more you use their own stuff, they favor you. And so therefore
Mhm.
they're favoring your emails and have a higher likelihood of going to the primary tab. And now, if you imagine that Gmail's AI is reading your email, they're seeing that you're loving on them, they're going to love on you. They're going to put you in the primary tab. Now I see your email, I open it, I see this beautiful thumbnail of Hannah talking about all this great strategies that she can help me with, and I'm now engaged. I click the thumbnail, go to YouTube. Now I get Hannah on her best medium, which sounds like it's video. I
Mhm.
still get the content I'm looking for. Gmail's happy because I'm using their services. I get a higher click through rate now because now someone clicked my email and I'm using Gmail's product. So all these tiny little like add-ons allow for you to get these very high soaring open rates and click-through rates and sales that we get for our clients if you understand how the game is played.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense when you say it. Like literally, like duh. Of course it does because, right? Yeah, Google owns YouTube. So, yeah, of course they're going to push your content if you are linking something into YouTube. Someone's going to spend time on YouTube. They're going to see, right? Like it just feeds right into the algorithm. Um, and also, if they are then clicking on your videos directly from their Gmail, that then shifts their YouTube algorithm as well to
And,
favor that content.
and more of you.
Yeah.
So it's huge. And especially if you're savvy and you're running YouTube ads too, you're just feeding your own ecosystem, but the person is now seeing on different platforms. So now you're an omnipresent approach to them, but in reality, you're just feeding the beast and just knowing how this cycle works. So it's such a fun trick that we understood. So it's what we really love working with phenomenal content creators and just making their email list another platform for them to show themselves in the best way that they want to show themselves, not through written word if that's not their jam, through whatever mechanism is their jam.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Okay, so that's another also actually another plug for YouTube, actually having a YouTube channel at this point as well, right? Showing up on YouTube. It's what is it, the second largest search engine at this point in the world is
Oh
YouTube, or
yeah.
is it the first?
It's I don't know if it's the first or second, but yesterday on our podcast, the Four Rooms podcast, tis the shirt. We have our YouTube channel that is not doing well, and I brought on someone that I met at Alex's Moscow's event where I met Sebastian to tie it all together, and he came on and we did a live, not live, but like I shared my screen and he destroyed my YouTube channel,
It's great.
obliterated it. It was embarrassing, but so great at the same time. But he said that the number one way people are consuming information is YouTube. But then even better, he goes, if you think about millennials and Gen Z, they cut the cord on cable,
Right.
but they actually consume. I'll ask you this: where do you think they're consuming? Oh, I kind of gave it away, so it doesn't matter. They consume their YouTube videos on the TV
Right.
because every TV, most of them are smart TVs. And so now the idea is like I'm now using my TV, but for YouTube videos. And so now it's not only search engine, but it's where I'm going to consume just everyday content. So like you said, if you feed the beast, now Hannah's stuff is popping all over the place on my YouTube algorithm. You're just going to be shown everywhere to that person.
Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. I love it. Well, let's actually, so we have plenty of time here. I want to, because I want you to talk about Four Rooms as well. So it's a perfect segue there, because this is also, we just talked about really creating uniqueness in your email campaign strategy, right? Like tailoring it to the people that are reading. But Four Rooms is like next level tailoring. So tell us what that is, what it's about, who you're serving, and what's going on there because it's super cool.
Yeah, so shout out to the founder of Four Rooms, Amber Spears. Her background is that she generated 530 million for her clients in the affiliate space. She's an expert affiliate manager, but she also worked herself to the point that she was sick and she had to get a hysterectomy. And yeah, in the hospital, she recognized that there's more to life than what she was doing, and she stumbled upon this Indian proverb about the four rooms, which is scaling in your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your business. Said slightly differently, but that's what the four rooms that we embody are. And so in our community, it's for 7 to 9 figure founders. We're grateful that everyone in the room is already rich financially, but they want to become rich in all other areas of their life. And we protect that at all costs. What I mean is that we've had people that apply to get in the community that could be a 10-figure business, but not a good person. I don't care who they are, they're not in. It's protecting the fabric of creating a place for people that leave their ego at the door to come to connect with people at or above their level. Now, where Four Rooms is very unique compared to all these other masterminds I've been a part of, and I'm a part of like so many of them, is the customization aspect. So let's say, Hannah, you come to one of our events. Your schedule is going to be different than someone else's schedule there. Because before you come to an event, I get to know you on a deeper level. I understand who your ideal clients are, who you want to meet, who potential referral partners are for you. Do you want more exposure for your brand? And then what experts, because we always bring in tier experts would you like to learn from? And then your schedule gets customized to solve that problem. And then you also get introduced to people that could be potential clients, referral partners, or get you more on stages or shows, depending on if that's things that you want. So versus going to an event where you're just like walking through like 100 people trying to find the three that you resonate with and just getting pitched all the time, everything is curated to you. So the 5 people I introduce you to, if you only met these 5 people, that's gonna get you the result that you're looking for because that's what you told us you are that you want.
Mm. And that's truly, it's so different
Mhm.
than what anyone else is doing or than any event that I've really experienced, right? Where, gosh, even lately, I feel like the tide is turning away from some of this, but I mean, people running events with like having people pay to be on stage, and you're just like churning through, right? Like it's an event for the event producer to make money, and it's not necessarily like it's like an afterthought for the customers or clients to get big value.
Yeah.
Like you're literally going the other direction from like we're starting from what do our clients need and building based on that is what it sounds like.
Totally. And that's why there'll be a cap to their growth at this model for a reason. We rather continue to bring in higher level people and higher, I'm going to, like people that are really dedicated to this growth than expanding it to be like the biggest mastermind out there for that reason. We can't customize everyone's experience if there's a billion people in the room. So that's why we're super careful on who we say yes to because we know you're expecting top tier customization. And so we need to make sure we can back that up. And that's why it's like we take time to really get to know each person that steps in the room for that reason. But this also echoing why Sebastian is so magical. Like to be able to create a room where referrals are so easy. Our room is like that too, where people are like, cool, I know who you need. I'm gonna make the introduction for you right now. And that's because it's a safe community for people to say, I know people in this room, they're not leading with their ego. They generally want to help me. And I know they're at top tier players, so I know they know people that actually can serve me. And that's the uniqueness.
So is there a space that you know of or kind of going back to the fitness professional example there for business owners who are in that, six growing to seven figures in revenue per year range. How would you recommend those people get into rooms like that?
Specifically for our room, it's all like what I mean, there is a lot of great communities out there. I don't know other communities do the customization part, but I mean, what I would understand is like figure out what exactly that they're looking for because oftentimes there's a few tweaks away from going from 6 to 7.
Hmm.
And also it's just like from there, then one of the best things is anytime we meet someone that like may not be the right fit because like the revenue level, but we know we can help them, we'll still make introductions for them. Absolutely. So we'll still be like, great, who do you need connected with? Boom, here's some amazing humans. Go ahead. So oftentimes soon after they hit that mark and then they're able to join us.
I love that. Well, what about this mandatory happy moments in every day? That was the kind of the last thing that you mentioned that I would love to talk about and kind of bring into the conversation too, because when we are building businesses, when we're so focused on all the things that are happening in the world, if it feels heavy at any point, if things are hard, if you're having a rough week or month or quarter, whatever's happening in your world, what does it mean to you to have mandatory happy moments? How do you create those?
So mandatory happy moments, I did not create this concept because when I tell you, you're going to totally know like it existed way before me, but maybe I came up with the name and therefore that's what I'll hang my hat on. But it started with my second bout of depression. This one I was coming back from living abroad in Israel, and I experienced major culture shock when I came back, and like I fell into a deep state of depression and became suicidal for a period of time. And I remember I was like, if you ever run that state, it's like you can't function. And I remember what started getting me out of it was I would be like, okay, you have to do something today that's gonna like make you feel a little bit better. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, just like you wore a pair of shoes that made you happy. You went on a walk, like just something small. And then that became known as like a mandatory happy moment. So like I had to build it into my schedule. And just like you go to the dentist, or just like you have to pay your taxes, or just like all these other things that are mandatory you have to do, I was like, you must do this happy moment. And then when I started feeling better endorphins from it, started doing like two things, three things, stacking them up. And now what I do is I stack out like events. So for example, my mandatory happy moments that I apply at in 2025 are like I have picked up improv about a year ago now, and it's been the most fun thing I think I've ever done. So that's something I don't miss unless I'm traveling. Like I don't care who's in town. I'm like, listen, I have to go to this. It's like so good for my mental health. I love it. I go to that. Before that, I was dancing salsa and bachata for 3 years because I loved that. It was like a me thing. So similar, it's like this is built into my schedule. I also do like walks with friends around Brickell. We live on the water. It's like similar to going to the gym, like meditation. It just things you have to throw into your schedule that you do not miss regardless of anything because you know it's super good for you. Just like in your business, I got to take that sales call so I can make money. You got to do your mandatory happy moment because what I found is when I go weeks without mandatory happy moments, even though I'm naturally a happy person, which I'm grateful for, my mental health dips. And I'm like, why do I feel so gloomy? I'm like, oh no, shit, I haven't done a mandatory happy moment in a while. But if I have a bad day, but a mandatory happy moment at night, my day's at least neutral. If I have a good day and a mandatory happy moment at night, my day's great. If I have a great day and a mandatory happy moment, my day's euphoric. So it's just a way of me pumping endorphins throughout my body several times a week. And then that stacked on it. So I went from good days to good weeks to good months to good years because I constantly am hitting all these mandatory happy moments.
That sounds like when we talk about self-care in so many ways, that actually sounds like a very applicable, right? Like, okay, how do we do that, right? Like, no, this is it. That's how you do it. You make it mandatory.
Yeah. And it's also like such a fun thing. It's like now I'll figure out like, okay, I want to pick up a new hobby or like I want to pick up a new event. You know how fun it is? Like Google or now I just talk to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm looking for this kind of stuff. And it'll just like find me different stuff. Cause okay, let me rephrase. I'm sure it's obvious. I'm more on the extroverted side. So me going to events make me happy. But you can do this if you're introverted or not. Point being is how fun it is to use AI to help me find things. I train it on what my mandatory happy moment examples are, and then it gives me suggestions of new ones I should try. I'm like, oh, this is phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I guess I would consider myself an ambivert.
Okay.
It's both. It depends on how much I've peopled
Right.
recently, right? So if I haven't had very much people time, I need my people time. If I've had a lot of people time, I need my quiet time.
Yep.
So it just depends. But in the last few months, gosh, over the winter is when it really was. I Okay, I'll back up just a little bit. I learned how to knit. I taught myself how to knit.
Okay.
Um, Almost 20 years ago. That's crazy to say. So when I don't know, it was my brother was having his first child. I was like, I want to knit a baby blanket. I want to be the aunt that knits the baby blankets. I like that idea. My husband and I didn't have kids yet. I had plenty of time to just, pick up new hobbies. So I taught myself to knit. Loved it, was obsessed, would literally wake up at like 6 a.m. on the weekends and be like, I have to work on this thing, right? So that's when I dive into something, I dive in. And so I've had this consistent desire to learn and to, so that leaned into like, oh, now I want to know how to make the yarn. Like, there's all these different kinds of yarn. Why is it the way it is? Oh, because you spun it this way. So now I have to spin yarn. And then once I'm spinning yarn, then it's like, well, when it goes from sheep, so I needed a literally like sheared off the sheep fleece and then I can process it and do it all right. Like my brain does that. I like to dive into things. But having kids, starting a business, starting another business, it started to fall away. And I hadn't really done very much of that for myself in a long time. And I had not, over the last couple of years, I was like, I'm going to knit something super easy. Just like I was knitting sweaters and lace and really complicated things for a long time. And coming back, it's like I felt like I had to do those things again. And like I just don't have the mental capacity for a sweater right now. That's a lot of work. So I did really, really simple things. And then this year, this past winter, for whatever reason, was when I felt like I could knit a sweater again. I could do
Mhm.
that. And I spun the yarn. I was like, I can spin the yarn. So I made the yarn. My daughter loved it. And I was like, do you want me to knit you a sweater? And she was like, yes, I would love that. And it was such a joy to carve out time to do that. I wasn't even knitting a sweater for myself, right? I mean, like I'm knitting it for my younger daughter, which is nice because it's a smaller sweater, so it goes faster. It was great. Worked out just fine. Um, but that like it felt really good in a way that I had not allowed myself to take that much time
Yeah.
away from the business in years. And it really, really helped slow me down in a way that was very necessary, actually.
I love that.
It's amazing how, when we talk about self-care, sometimes, especially in the women's space, like people talk about bubble baths. Baths are great. Love a good bath with some good magnesium salt, right? It's good. It's good stuff. Um, but baths, massages, I don't get my nails done. Like I don't, that's not me,
Yeah.
right? And it's like having these other expressions of what do you actually enjoy? What actually makes you happy, not what you think is supposed to be self-care, but what actually brings you joy in a moment
Yeah.
is very different.
And you let it stack, the
Hmm.
consistency around it. And that's what's so fun. Because you look back, I started doing this thing, and then I know unfortunately we need a transition. I started doing this thing, my mug's over there, where once a week on Sunday, I'll write down three positive things from the week. And I've had some like crappy weeks this year, but it's like, okay, the idea is there's always three things I can find from it. And the whole idea here is at the end of the year, I get to pull out 54 notes of like awesome things that happened to me. And I'm most likely going to forget some of those things I thought were pretty shitty just because they'll fall by the wayside and just see all these like great reinforcements of great things. I'm like, oh, my year was actually awesome. And just like, I'm always trying to program my mind on things like that.
That's so good. It's so good. There, yeah, we could do a whole hour on gratitude and pulling out those moments. But yeah, I truly feel like that's the magic of manifestation is to be grateful for what's here, find the things that you are grateful for and build on those. And this is beautiful, beautiful way to do that. So you are right. You're staying right on time with me. I love it. I would love for anyone who's heard something from today that is like, okay, I need to figure out how to revive my dead email list. Or like I need to get into that room. That, like having the holistic growth on all sides, being in that 7 to 10 figure business range where you want to be in that room. Where can people get a hold of you and learn more about these things?
So I'll give you my profiles and links in the show notes. But for people listening, Instagram would be Brett Kaufman 26, BRETTKAUFMAN. The number's 26. LinkedIn would be my name. It'd be the same profile picture. And then there is a gift to your audience would be if anyone wants a full email audit where I'll go in, I'll show them exactly what's wrong with their email deliverability, meaning why their emails are in spam and how to get them out so they can get the highest opens, clicks, and make the most sales. So happy to do a free audit for everyone, as well as like the first step to reviving those dead leads. Because there's so much money in your email list that people are not tapping into. It's just like it's insane. It's like free money. It's like take your own money. Um, and then for Four Rooms, I will drop you the link so you can also just see about one of our upcoming events. If you find that that community is something that excites you, go ahead and book a call. You'll also be talking to me. So I'm happy. And also, I'm a member in the community, not just like wearing this hat. So I can tell you what my experience has been like with the customization. And then hopefully you'll be a good fit to join us.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Brett. It was fabulous to talk to you. And if anyone needs any other details, again, those are all in the show notes. You can grab them there. And if you want to talk more about customization, I truly believe that's the way that everything is going. Like not just coaching, not just masterminds, but in every aspect, people want to feel like what they're paying for is being tailored to them. Especially when you work with other business owners. I see it in so many areas. So this is so important for now, for the future, and for, helping all of our listeners build businesses that are really going to last through whatever climate we go through in business. So thank you so much, Brett. It was so good to have you.
You got it. Thank you for having me.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe. And again, if anything resonated with you from this episode, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com and tell me about it. And if you're ready for your greatest expansion, you can find ways to work with me at expansiveceo.com and at x2wealthplanning.com. That's X, the numeral 2, wealthplanning.com. So until next time, remember that there is enough, you are enough, and your birthright in this lifetime is to be expansive.